Up next on IJDM, we will find out what's in the box.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Welcome to IJDM. We're back to Retro Tech, my fun thing we do. I like my reviews, but I like this a little better. I mean, I honestly gotta say, you probably already know what's in the box for what we're covering here, but let's go ahead and find out what's in the box.
I'll take the box! The box! You took the box! Let's see what's in the box! Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
Okay, yeah, I admit it. I have been wanting to use that one for a while. Just one of those funny, goofy movies. You can't beat Weird Al. I mean, on his type of humor. If that's what you're into, it's all in good. But what was in the box was this. We'll start off with the main star of this show. I'm just a commentator. That's why you rarely see me, is because I'm not the channel. The stuff I feature on the channel is the channel. So I have no ego about this. I just want to show off this cool tech and what it does and what it is. So what we have here is the Sony Ericsson Z10, more specifically the Z12A. What makes this one different is I believe this is called a tri-band or quad-band phone, because I believe it can do both types of signals. But my memory on that's a bit fuzzy, even though I did work for a cell phone company way back in the day. The other phone, the Z10, doesn't have this part. It just has this little spoiler thing on the back. And this antenna, surprisingly, as much as it looks when you do take it out of there, and a few people have asked me since I've got this, why doesn't the antenna extend? I'm like, well, it doesn't. It just kind of sits in there. It doesn't actually push out. I've tried different things. I don't want to break it, so it's just in there. But honestly, that's the first thing about this phone. This thing just seems like it's a candidate to break off. And when I was kind of looking online for these phones, most of these were broken off. So probably should have went with the Z10 version of this, which is the one I think I had back in the day. It was just a phone I really liked, and I just wanted to cover on the channel, and the guy sent me a heck of an offer, and this one was like supposedly brand new old stock. So why not, right? Let's go through the phone and get right to the point. We have a front-facing camera. Now, it's a little awkward on this because of the way the lens, and you got to hold the thing to get it just at the right angle, but yeah. Then on the front, we got a nice, just kind of, what do you call it, monochrome? I guess monochrome bluish colored screen. There was a variation in colors, I think, that had an amber screen, and there's other Sony Ericssons that were made that were very similar to this. I just like the design of this one better than the bulbous brown button thing. I'm not really into that. I like the more squared off straight lines and just clean lines on this phone versus some of the other ones that came out in the day. This is also affectionately known as the Sony Walkman Phone, which I figured would be pertinent considering we've been covering a lot of radio stuff on the channel lately, and this would be a cool thing to cover. On the front, you got things to either do what I'm going to show you in a minute, but it's basically go up and down, let's just say, not volume. That's to start an app, and then I forget what that one does. It just kind of doesn't do anything on the screen. Anyway, I got your volume buttons here and then a camera button there. No, that's not a push to talk button, even though I for some reason thought it was when I first got it, but it's been so long. What we got in the back is a little clip that holds this cover on, and what we got is the Sony Ericsson battery, and this looks like just one of those, of course that would happen, it looks like one of those standard type batteries that I think you still can buy today. In fact, I think I have one right behind me as I bump the camera, as we normally do on the channel, and I swear this looks like the same battery. What's this called? A BL5C, and I don't see, oh wait, there we go. BST37. So yeah, this one's a little smaller than this battery, but basically the same concept, because even the pins are, well, they're slightly off, but very similar to this battery. So I'm guessing maybe you could even still get these batteries. It was my understanding, because this phone was never used, this battery would charge and work perfectly. Well, no surprise there, yes it does. I did have to get a SIM card, even though I searched and searched when I got it for some of my old SIM cards, and guess what? I could not find them. I ordered this card from somewhere. It said it was free, but it's $6 with shipping, and yeah, well, there we go there. And we'll get back to the SIM card thing in service later. And we'll put this cover back on. And before we open the phone, and I know we're all anxious for that, so we'll just go quickly through. We got a couple of things. I'm not going to take these out of the package, which I already opened. As you can see, the wire is like crumbling. Just like the plastic is just totally brittled up and just, I mean, they must have used some really cheap plastic on these headphones. I did get some liquid wire. I'm going to try coating it and fixing it up just for giggles. But yeah, this headset's seen better days. And these earmuffs just flake apart when you touch them. So the headphones were definitely a wash, which the guy said, yeah, some of the stuff in the package itself is old, so, and it was still sealed, so it just, you know, time catches up with some of these plastics, and it's just the way it is. We got a charger here. Yeah, just Sony's good old proprietary connection, which I think everyone loved to hate, if I remember right. We got a data cable here, so you can hook this phone up to your computer, much like a lot of phones in the mid-2000s. You could hook them up and it would act like almost like a drive, and you could drop MP3s or do whatever you wanted with the cable. I'll go over some of those functions, but we're not actually going to hook this cable up today. If people want to see more on this phone, then make a comment saying, yeah, I want to see more about, you know, how this was done back in the day, because now we have cloud and, you know, online stuff, which this phone actually does have online, but I haven't been able to get to work. We have some empty plastic bags that obviously we're holding the so this is a cable I bought to try to fix the problem with the headphone thing, but it's flimsy and cheap, but luckily it was cheap, so that'll just stay in the box. And what I got here was this, of course it got all tangled again just by me moving it from one place to another. But yeah, well, it's got this type of cable which has this is like the speaker thing and the thing to activate the call, and then your headphones plug in here. And I got, of course, some old iPhone headphones, which I always thought sounded decent back in the day. We got some manuals here. There's the Z12, stay in the frame, Z12 manual there, and some other stuff, and oh, a PC suite, yeah, too. So maybe, like I said, if there's no more demand, otherwise this video is going to be like 30 minutes long, I can install the software on one of my old Windows XP units and show you what it is. If it still works, I'm assuming it should. No reason. It says it has Adobe and QuickTime on the back of the thing, so yeah. All right. Well, what we're going to need for this video is just these two items, because the phone, I believe, is charged. It is charged? Well, it's not on. So let's open this. And it has a nice little, listen, hear that? Let me put this. What a satisfying click. Well done, Sony. The other silver version of this phone, I can't think of, I think it was the 300 series, or the 30 or 300 series. I'll put a picture on the screen real quick. That my wife had. I didn't care for it because it was just silent, but this one had a definite, you know, it just sounds cool. I don't know why. You got your screen here and then all your buttons that control stuff. I am not going to go through every single button on the phone. Basically cursor to go back, forward. These are what you call soft keys that change with whatever it says on the screen. This is how you control the phone. There was no touch screen, you know, thing back there. Oh, hold it up here so you can't see it. Yeah, let's do that. Flight mode or normal mode. Yeah, that was a thing back then, and that's what you committed to. I don't think you could actually switch it once you went into those modes. So I already got the SIM card in there. Without the SIM card, this phone says insert SIM card, and that's as far as you go. All right, you'll see it says no network coverage. So the first thing I'm going to say about that is, well, yes and no. I didn't activate it, but the card and the service is reading, and it's using Edge technology from T-Mobile. I believe Verizon shut theirs off, and I think AT&T is getting ready to. So I don't know how much longer Edge is going to be around. I know a lot of people rely on it for like trail cams and stuff in remote areas, but yeah, I don't know if they're going to keep that online. It might be already in the plans to shut it down. All right, jump forward. I hit the calls button, but I apparently had a call on there. Wait a minute. Doing all, yes. All right. We hit the calls button, and yeah, there was a quick edit there because I had dialed my own phone number, and it, of course, goes to the T-Mobile customer service to activate the phone or the SIM card. Menu, you have all these cool little menus. So let's just go through some of these, and the best place for me to hold this is right here. And it's so small, and my hands are so big, it's just like really hard to like fumble around. We have the Play Now, which I think is something that connects with the computer. I'm not gonna be able to create an internet profile because I have no idea how to do that at this point in time. We're just showing the functions of the phone and just doing an overview of this, but I'm sure it's something to do with online services, which it did have internet back then. You could surf the internet and do different things. One of the interesting things I found about this phone when I had it back in the day, I believe the first iPhone had just come out, and my brother-in-law at the time had it, the iPhone. And he was showing off, you could watch YouTube videos and different things on it, and I was like, yeah, I could do that on my phone too. And I could do that. I could watch videos on this phone. We had a entertainment, which was also game, you know, your gaming thing, and sadly enough, and it has a IR remote control. What the? And apparently that connects to something if you have a IR, Bluetooth, or whatever. I don't know. I'll have to read more into that one. The more I dig around with this phone, the more I find. But the main thing I was going into here was games. They just gave you Alpha Wing 2 and tennis something or other. I believe you could install games on here directly from like these little files that you could get back in the day. Were they called IPAs or something back then? I may be thinking of the wrong generation of phone, but it had its own little proprietary files you put in there, and then you wanted solitaire or blackjack or whatever, you could easily put that on there. Much easier to play than I think the games they gave you. We have a camera here, yeah, so you just hit the camera button and there it is. And first thing someone's going to say, well, how does it look? Well, it's absolutely horrid on today's standards. I mean, if you want to get a quick photo, you got it, there it is, and didn't have your camera, but no, you carried around a camera with you. Yeah, and this did video too, and it did absolutely horrid video, just like those Sony Mavica floppy disk cams I showed you. It's just awful. We won't record and bother, but it's jerky and bad and just terrible. If I can find a clip to throw in the video right now, I will. All right, moving on to messaging. Yeah, it was just your standard messaging. How did you do messaging? Well, you write a message, and it was A, B, C, and like how you spelled out your letters, which was each one of the, and it was not fun. No, you couldn't talk to the phone. There was no Siri or Google Voice or anything like that. This was all just, yeah, you're sending text messages back then, it was quite a chore, and usually they were brief, like on your way or on way, yes, why? You didn't really want to do much with it. And I think there was other ways to input text, but I never really fooled it because I'm not going to carry around a keyboard or whatever with me. All right, we have your music player here, which we'll get back to in a second. We have your file manager. File manager might be redundant here, but yeah, it's one of those weird things. I think it's just if you want to delete files or whatever directly from the phone, that's the reason why it's there. And this does have backgrounds and stuff you can change, which we're not going to get into any of that either. It just changes the colors and the little swirls, and you can have grids or whatever you want. I just put this one on the red theme, I guess it's called. Contacts would go in there, nothing big there. We're going to skip the next one for a reason. Then that's calls menu, which obviously you could operate straight from the main phone. Your organizer, which was your calendar, set alarms and stuff like that. So yeah, this pretty much did everything basically the iPhone did back then, and maybe more. And then we have the settings, which is where you change your ringtones and set up different profiles, and your wallpapers, like I said, you can change up and have different themes. I just kept this basic. All right, back to the main screen. Now this has something on it that's very interesting in why we're covering this phone today in light of all the recent radio stuff. This actually has an FM radio built into it. I'm sure you've seen at Antenna Man that he's covered phones that had TVs you could watch. Oh, how convenient I hit that button by accident, but that you could watch TV on some certain phones back in the day with the old analog signals. Well, this one had radio on it. Didn't have TV, had radio. So you could actually tune in radio stations. So you can hit the radio button and, oh no. Yeah, you had to have this thing plugged in. So if you didn't have this cable, what did I just hit? Did I just take, oh, I took a video. Took a video while I am taking a video. Man, these buttons are definitely, and I'm in an awkward position here. So let's go ahead and just connect this and fiddle around with the FM radio for a minute. And I'm just gonna leave that mess there because every time I detangle it, it gets tangled again. So we'll plug that in and we'll try it again. We'll go to menu, and I do have a shortcut set up to it already, but we'll go to the radio, and there it is. So yeah, you can't hear anything right now because it's coming through the headphones. If I unplug it, it'll stop working. It's just part of the functionality of it, and believe me, there's ways to cheat it a little bit, but believe me, you don't get anything in at all. You do need some type of wire connected to it. I think to separate the cell signal versus the actual antenna receiving signal so they don't combine. But on this, what's cool about this radio function is you can hit this button.
And we want to keep it going. Got a vehicle you want to sell? Bring it to us. We want it. Looking to buy a high-quality pre-owned car, truck, or van? We've got them. 75 trucks. 90
Yeah, so we got a full FM
cargo vans. 25
radio on the phone. I mean, some stations come in good. I don't have, the headphones on, but and that's through the speakerphone. So yeah, it sounds pretty horrid. It sounds like one of those cheap radios you'd buy at a dollar store back in the day in the 80s. If you ever bought one of those, you know how horrid they sounded. But in the headphones, it sounds totally fine. It sounds crisp. It sounds clean. The other function on this that's cool, and the radio was the main thing I wanted to show. And yeah, you could do presets. You could do all that stuff with this particular thing. Let me turn the volume down here. Oh, it's already connected to headphones, but you could also save channels and do auto scans and stuff like that. But yeah, you got radio stations in easy peasy, and you can listen to the radio instead of using, putting music on here. Because back in the day, you couldn't put much music onto an actual phone, and there wasn't really many streaming services back then like the ones we have now, where you could just easily tune in to internet radio, and it was still kind of a beginning of a thing back then. So what we have here, if we go up one, is our music player. So if we go into music player, and then let's just go to artists, and I preloaded this onto the card. It did come with a 64 megabyte card, so I was able to put a few songs on there. And so we'll just hit the Rockwell song here, and yeah, this is annoying because you have to go through 3 menus to get to it. It's not like you can put that much music on that you would have it organized by album, but yeah, there's the song, and you go to settings, and yeah, guess what? For some reason in Walkman mode, as far as I've been able to figure out, maybe if you unplug this. Oh, okay, there you go. So that's why it's missing the speaker thing, is because yeah, so you can play on speaker just like you can on a modern phone, or listen through your headphones. We're not going to bother with all that weird jargon and stuff like that. But in a nutshell, that's the phone. I just thought it'd be something cool to show because it's like a brand new phone. It was still in its original wrapper. It was really cool, and just the fact it had an FM radio, I was amazed by the TV phones back then. I knew of them. I never had one. They were just too expensive. But having owned this, it was really a treat to have when you're mowing or doing something, and sick of your 64 megabytes worth of MP3s you had stored in this phone. That'll do it for this IJDM featuring the Sony Ericsson Walkman Phone. We have more videos coming your way very soon. We'll see you next time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you.